Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving straight into a real-life corporate thriller. Seriously, it's a fascinating look at how one tiny, seemingly harmless digital record completely unraveled what an entire room full of powerful executives were quietly trying to erase. We're going to look exactly at how a digital footprint actually works in practice and how a completely rigged outcome was finally dragged into the light.
Maya Carter, the head of strategy, actually hit the nail on the head when she said, "The dangerous documents never look dangerous first." And it's so true. Toxic workplace cover-ups, they rarely start with some dramatic villain speech. Nope, they almost always start with something incredibly boring, something administrative. In this specific case, it was just an internal board memo. The company was supposedly pushing this whole fresh start culture of transparency, but this one document slipped through the cracks, wearing a perfectly normal disguise.
So, how does a quiet corporate exception happen? Especially when the excuses surrounding it arrive so much cleaner than the document itself. Let's get into it.
Picture this, an office that's trying really hard to refresh its culture. Everyone wants to move forward, leave the old toxic habits behind, right? But suddenly, that new culture faces the ultimate test over a document that just feels off. Senior leadership starts throwing around these highly polished, buzzword-heavy excuses. You know the ones. We just need alignment. It's just a little polish. Consolidation. It's for the team outcome. But the reality hiding underneath the metadata? It was way harsher. An omitted name, a missing approval, an altered owner field. When the official explanation sounds so much cleaner and more polite than the document itself, yeah, you know for sure something is being hidden.
Which brings us to the digital footprint. We're talking about reading what literally everyone else skips. This is where our coordinator, Sofia Lane, steps in. She's not buying the shiny excuses, but instead of raising her voice or making wild accusations, she just quietly starts gathering the digital breadcrumbs they dropped. She dives deep into the details the higher-ups always ignore: the file's properties panel, the activity tab, the attached notes, and the owner fields. She starts asking the really inconvenient questions, like, who exactly changed this document? And more importantly, who gained power by doing it? Like Assistant Director Nina Ross pointed out, people forget that background work still has foreground records. Even the most invisible behind-the-scenes work leaves a digital trap. Rooms get booked, calls get scheduled, links get sent out, calendar exports, saved drafts, meeting notes. All of this creates a context that you just can't deny. The board wanted to play this off as just a weird, isolated process error, but Nina brings the receipts, showing this was part of a systemic pattern of behavior. Enter IT audit expert Jordan Kreis. No Hollywood hacker stuff here, no glowing green code. He just looks at the undeniable sequence in the system logs. First, the file was opened. Next, the owner field was actively changed. And finally, the file was approved. He uses that raw IT audit sequence to visually prove that the official story was a complete fabrication. People can lie all they want, but system logs, they don't lie. Okay, so here's where we hit the climax, the timestamp confrontation. This is what happens when the system speaks in sequence. The tension in that room is absolutely peaking. Armed with this audit trail, Maya starts building her proof map before the panic can set in and the executives can rewrite the narrative. And the real turning point? It's when analyst Aisha Morgan drops a crucial question. Who benefits if this stays classified as harmless? Bam! In that exact moment, the whole dynamic shifts. She pulls the conversation away from these vague, abstract excuses and forces everyone to look at specific accountability. Corporate lies only survive when the damage is kept vague, but they completely fall apart when you point directly at who's benefiting. And here is the smoking gun. Maya puts the timestamps side by side. The conclusion was drafted at 8:30 a.m., but the review of the file? That didn't happen until 11:15 a.m. She undeniably proves that the conclusion of the memo was written before the review even started. The entire outcome was rigged from the very beginning, and that review meeting was literally just pure theater.
Truth is not damage, hiding it was. When confronted with this cold, hard, precise metadata, all those polite excuses just instantly collapse. All those fancy corporate phrases like consolidating for team spirit or leadership vision are completely powerless when standing next to a hard, unbending timestamp.
So, how do you repair a broken workflow? How do you turn this massive discovery into actual protection?
This leads us to a really tough question. Do we quietly fix what can, publicly teach? Naturally, leadership wants a quiet apology, a discreet little correction behind closed doors. But Maya flat out refuses. She insists that because the damage to Sofia's credit was done publicly, the correction, specifically restoring her name, has to be public too. Private, quiet fixes, they just leave hidden traps for the next unlucky employee. So they completely overhauled the workflow to create a defense system, permanently preventing this kind of private cover-up. Step 1, preserve the edited board memo as evidence. Step 2, attach the actual evidence. Step 3, officially notify the affected employee. And Step 4, log the correction publicly. They shifted the focus from just punishing one bad actor to building an architecture that makes stealing credit almost impossible. From now on, every internal memo requires attached documentation before any conclusions can even be drafted. It was just one single corrected line restoring Sofia's name. But man, the relief of that victory was huge. Properly attributing the work isn't just administrative courtesy. It's absolute proof that the system can actually learn. It sends a clear message to the employees that their effort has a safe place and their professional boundaries will be respected. The record did not raise its voice. It simply waited for someone patient enough to read it. The core lesson here: a workplace only becomes truly safe when names can't be quietly deleted and memos can't be politely ignored. The truth rarely shows up in loud, dramatic speeches. More often than not, it comes in the form of a quiet timestamp, just patiently waiting to be found. I'll leave you with this. In your office, is the truth protected by speeches or by the system? It's really something to think about regarding your own workplace dynamics, the metadata hiding in your everyday files, and the absolute importance of an audit trail. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.